Celebrate over 100 years of steak perfection during the Omaha Steaks Anniversary Sale. Save 50% site-wide on USDA certified tender steaks and more. Plus, get an extra $35 off with code CERTIFIED at omahasteaks.com today. Don't wait. Shop the anniversary sale at omahasteaks.com to save 50% on legendary steaks and more. Plus, get an extra $35 off with code CERTIFIED. Minimum purchase may apply. See site for details.
Israel Defense Forces, IDF, has confirmed that the Middle East country soldiers carried out massive airstrikes on multiple locations in Yemen capital of Sanaa on Sunday, while Nasruddin Amer, the chairman of Yemen's Saba news agency and the vice president of the media authority of Ansar Allah Movement that has Houthis group as one of its organizations, said the air defenses were able to thwart the majority of the Israeli attacks and confronted several of its combat formations, which he said forced Israeli soldiers to retreat, with the Houthis fighters using locally manufactured air defense systems. According to Israel Defense Force, multiple military targets belonging to the Houthi terrorist regime in Sanaa, Yemen, including a military site in which the presidency palace is located, the Adar and Hazaz power plants, and a site for storing fuel, all used for the military activity of the Houthi regime. These strikes were carried out in response to repeated Houthi attacks on Israel with missiles and UAVs. The Houthis, backed by Iran, continue to exploit civilian infrastructure for terror purposes. News agencies reported that Israel launched the airstrikes in Yemen's capital Sanaa, hitting areas near the presidential complex and missile bases, with additional strikes reported in Hodeidah. It was gathered that Israel carried out the strikes in response to days of attempted Houthi drone and ballistic missile attack against Israel. Local media reported with a photograph showing the Israel Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, Defense Minister, Katz, and IDF Chief, Ansar Allah Movement, at the Israeli Air Force Command Center in Tel Aviv, observing today's strikes on Yemen capital on a military facility near the presidential palace, a fuel depot, and 2 power stations. Israeli airstrikes hit Yemen's capital on Sunday, just days after the Houthi rebels fired a missile toward Israel that its military described as the first cluster bomb the rebels had fired at it since 2023. The rebels' Al Masirah satellite television reported a strike on an oil company, and video on social media showed a fireball erupting there. Nasruddin Amer, deputy head of Ansar Allah's Houthis media authority and chairman of Yemen's Saba news agency, said Yemeni air defenses intercepted most of the Israeli air raids, forcing several formations to withdraw. He stressed that Yemen's military operations in support of Gaza will continue until the aggression ends and the blockade is lifted. Amer dismissed Israel's targeting of a civilian fuel station in Sanaa as an act of barbarism and bankruptcy, with no impact on military capabilities, warning it will only trigger further escalation. In quotes, he said, "Targeting a civilian fuel station on a main street will have no impact on military." A young man from Delta State in the oil-rich Niger Delta region in Nigeria has been arrested after he conspired with his friend to fake a kidnapping to get money from his family in order to be able to travel abroad. The young man was seen in a video the alleged kidnapper sent to his family, threatened to be killed with a cutlass placed on his neck by the suspected fake kidnapper, who is also a native and indigene of Delta State but faked his voice to sound like an Hausa Fulani man from northern Nigeria. According to one of the popular human rights activists against insecurity in the West Africa country, Harrison Gwamnashu, the 2 suspects were arrested inside the bush after intelligence gathering indicated that the kidnapping was not genuine, adding that they were not mobilized by Senator Ned Munir Nwoko, the senator representing Delta North Senatorial Zone, who had said in a press statement that the father of the supposed victim, together with 2 members of the Idemuje Ugboko community, reached out to me. I also spoke with the victim's brothers, as well as the police in Isale, Uku and Saba. In addition, I contacted and mobilized the Idemuje Ugboko vigilante group and held discussions with my police contacts in Saba, giving clear instructions to track the kidnappers and ensure the safe rescue of the victim. Throughout the operation, I received tracking updates and was kept informed of the rescue movements from Saba to Isla Uku until the eventual arrests were made. In an earlier post, Harrison Gwambashu had said that, for clarity, I do not know who he claims he mobilized for a rescue mission. I also do not know what he meant by saying he mobilized the police and local vigilantes. I personally fueled 3 vehicles, paid other logistics for the operation he's claiming he mobilized. According to the popular human rights and life defender, Harrison Gwambashu, on Sunday the 16th of August 2025, an alarm was raised that a man had been kidnapped at Onitsha Ugbo, Antioch North local government area, Delta State. Immediately, the police special anti-kidnapping and cyber crime unit Saba, led by the OC, swung into action working tirelessly with a team of military officers from 63 Brigade Saba, the Nigeria Forest Security Service, NFSS, and Delta State Government House Trackers, advanced to Isla Uku to rescue the alleged victim. After hours of coordinated intelligence gathering, it was discovered that the incident was not a genuine abduction but a case of self-kidnapping. The location was secured, and the 2 suspects behind the act were arrested and are now in custody. We sincerely thank the officers and men of the 63 Brigade Saba, the OC and officers of the Special Anti-Kidnapping and Cyber Crime Unit and the NFSS for their. Anambra State Governor, Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo, has dismissed 8 members of the state special vigilante group known as Aganekemba after the sacked security operatives were seen in a now viral video allegedly assaulting a female National Youth Service Corps, NYSC member, Jennifer Elabor, to the level of complete nakedness after they torn her clothes and continued assaulting her even when they observed during the process nothing more was covering any part of her body. This, the dismissed vigilantes did after they allegedly chased some young men on motorcycles they claimed were members of a secret cult to the victim's compound at Oba community in Idemili South local government area of Anambra State on July 23, 2025. According to the state television station, Anambra Broadcasting Service, ABS, the Anambra state government, through the Aganekemba Security Command, has dismissed 8 of her operatives for their involvement in the brutal assault and public stripping of a corps member, Miss Jennifer Elabor. The dismissed operatives will be handed over to the police for immediate prosecution. Speaking at the agency headquarters in Awka, the Special Advisor to Governor Chukwuma Soludo on Community Security, Mr. Kenemikai, said the state government acted swiftly after receiving reports that the operatives, while in pursuit of suspected cultists on July 23, 2025 assaulted corps members, an action which he described as totally outside the mandate of the agency and utterly condemnable. Mr. Amikai stressed that the Soludo administration will not tolerate any form of unprofessionalism, brutality, or abuse of office by security operatives, assuring that any officer found guilty of misconduct will face immediate dismissal and prosecution. He disclosed that despite pleas from the victim's family and NYSC officials not to prolong prosecution for damaging the identity of the people involved, the Anambra state government insisted on full investigation and accountability to serve as deterrence. The special advisor further revealed that the agency has already settled all medical bills of the corps member, replaced damaged valuables such as laptops and phones, and tendered a public apology to the victim, her family, NYSC, and the general public. Mr. Amikai reiterated the government's resolve to reform community security operations in the state, emphasizing that Governor Soludo's administration is committed to upholding professionalism, accountability, and respect for human rights in all security engagements. He assured that the incident will be used as a turning point to strengthen discipline and restore public trust in the Aganekemba outfit. Meanwhile, the Anambra State Police Command has condemned in strong terms the alleged assault on a female member of the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, in Comfort Emanson Bob, the 26-year-old female passenger that was recently seen on viral video allegedly attacked and provoked to action has said that she sustained injuries in her private part when a yet-to-be-identified IBOM air staff pulled off her shirt and exposed her nakedness at Lagos Airport. This, According to Comfort, the shirt torn while she was being carried out from the aircraft was her innerwear that was pinned together below her private part, saying, the IBOM air hostess had allegedly broke her phone, necklace and forcefully removed her wig hair from her head, which caused her a severe sharp pain, and as a result of the pain, she hit the air hostess on the cheek, adding, she became more aggressive when she saw the airport staff video recording her nakedness while she was battling to cover her body as a result of her shirt that was torn with her chest sexual organs completely exposed. Comfort Emanson gave her own side of the story in an 11-minute video she posted on her Instagram profile on Sunday, August 17, 2025, which was exactly after 1 week the incident occurred. She said she was the one who begged the co-passenger to help switch off her phone when the plane was about to take off at Uyo Airport, contrary to the narratives painted by IBOM Air Management that she refused to switch off her phone and a co-passenger on board the plane forcefully took the phone from her and switched it off, and thereafter, Comfort Emanson engaged the co-passenger and other staff of the airline in a long war of words the IBOM Air Management referred to as tirade. Details of her statement as transcribed and presented by Channels Television reads verbatim below. Comfort Emanson, an air passenger embroiled in a controversial IBOM Air incident, has given a detailed account of the events on board the flight that led to her arrest, arraignment, and eventual discharge by a Lagos court. In a video shared on her Instagram page on Sunday, Emanson expressed gratitude to supporters who stood by her during what she described as a traumatic ordeal. Narrating her version of events, the real estate consultant recalled that on August 10, 2025, she boarded a flight from Uyo to Lagos. She alleged that a disagreement began when a flight attendant, identified as Juliana, insisted she switched off her phone rather than place it in flight mode. According to her, one of her two phones had a faulty power button. I showed her the phone and told her the power button was bad. She said I could still switch it off through the settings. With the help of a fellow passenger, I eventually managed to switch off both phones, she explained. When we landed in Lagos, everybody was getting out of the aircraft. I went to pee. Coming outside, everybody had already left. I had to rush, carry my stuff and move to rush out of the aircraft. Leaders of the Nigeria affiliates of Al-Qaeda international terrorist group, known as Ansar and Mahmouda, have been captured by men of the Armed Forces of Nigeria, AFN, after 2 months of intelligence-led special operations in northern Nigeria. The West African nation National Security Advisor, Nuhu Rabadu, stated this at a press conference with the nation's security chiefs, saying, the two arrested suspected terrorists leaders have cells across the country where they have been executing various crimes of armed robbery in addition to raise funds for the terrorist activities. Details of the public announcement as stated by Nuhu Rabadu and made available by the office of the spokesperson to the Nigeria president, Bayo Onanuga, on Saturday reads verbatim below. Nigeria dismantles terror groups, Ansar and Mahmouda, with the capture of their leaders. Nigeria has recorded a significant breakthrough in the war against terrorism with the capture of the leaders of Ansar and Mahmouda. At a press briefing on Saturday evening, the National Security Advisor, Malam Nuhu Rabadu, said the two terrorists on the wanted list of Nigeria, the US, UK and UN were captured in an operation which was conducted between May and July 2025. He said the men were captured in a high-risk, intelligence-led, counter-terrorism operation which led to their capture. They are leaders of Jama'atu Ansar al-Muslimina fi Biladis Sudan, commonly known as Ansaru, Nigeria's Al-Qaeda affiliate. Rabadu said the two men have been responsible for masterminding many terrorist attacks against Nigeria over the past years. According to Rabadu, the first is Mahmoud Muhammad Usman, aka Abu Bara, Abbas, Mukhtar, the self-styled Emir of Ansaru. He is the coordinator of various terrorist sleeper cells across Nigeria. He is also the mastermind of several high-profile kidnappings and armed robberies used to finance terrorism over the years. The second is Mahmoud al-Nigeri, aka Malam Mahmouda, Abu Bara's proclaimed chief of staff and deputy. He is the leader of the so-called Mahmoudawa cell hiding out in and around the Kainji National Park, straddling Niger and Kwara states up to Benin Republic. Mahmouda trained in Libya between 2013 and 2015 under foreign jihadist instructors from Egypt, Tunisia, and Algeria, specializing in weapons handling and IED fabrication. These two men have been on Nigeria's most wanted list for years. They jointly spearheaded multiple attacks on civilians, security forces, and critical infrastructure. Their operations include the 2022 Kuje prison break, the attack on the Niger uranium facility, the 2013 abduction of French engineer Francis Collin, following the meeting of President Vladimir Putin of Russia and President Donald Trump of the United States on Friday in Alaska. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said he knows the treachery of President Putin, that, in the coming days, Russia's soldiers may try to increase pressure and strikes against Ukrainian positions in order to create more favorable political circumstances for talks with global actors. Zelensky made this statement some hours ago while stating that Ukrainian soldiers have achieved some successes in Donetsk region, especially in the areas of Dobropilya and Pokrovsk, then ordered the commander-in-chief, Oleksandr Syrsky, to speak with combat commanders that Ukraine needs strong positions and truly tangible resistance to the enemy. In his words, Zelensky said, "I received a report from Commander-in-Chief Oleksandr Syrsky. The front, the defense of positions, and up-to-date information on the intentions and movements of the Russian army. We are defending our positions along the entire front line, and for the second day in a row, we have achieved successes in some extremely difficult areas in the Donetsk region, in the direction of Dobropilya and Pokrovsk. In particular, I want to commend the units of the 1st Corps of the National Guard of Ukraine, Azov, the units of the 7th Corps of the Air Assault Forces, the units of the 38th Separate Marine Brigade named after Hetman Petro Sahedikny, as well as the units of our 93rd Separate Mechanized Brigade, Kholodny Yar. The destruction of the occupiers who tried to infiltrate deeper into our positions continues. There has also been an important replenishment of Ukraine's exchange fund with Russian soldiers. The commander-in-chief also reported on the actions of our units in the Sumy, Kharkiv, and Zaporizhia regions. I am grateful to all our warriors for their resilience. Based on the political and diplomatic situation around Ukraine, and knowing Russia's treachery, we anticipate that in the coming days the Russian army may try to increase pressure and strikes against Ukrainian positions in order to create more favorable political circumstances for talks with global actors. We are documenting the movement and preparations of Russian troops. Of course, we will counteract, if necessary, asymmetrically. I asked the commander-in-chief to speak with combat commanders. Ukraine needs strong positions and truly tangible resistance to the enemy. I thank every one of our soldiers, sergeants, and officers who are carrying out combat missions and destroying the occupiers in the way that is necessary for Ukraine's confidence. Glory to Ukraine. We had a long and substantive conversation with POTUS, President of the United States. We started with one-on-one talks before inviting European leaders to join us. There is still no peace in sight after nearly 3 hours of meeting held in Anchorage City in Alaska, a state in the United States, US, between President Vladimir Putin of Russia and President Donald Trump of the United States, over the war Russia launched since 2022 in Ukraine, which has led to thousands of deaths, mostly Ukrainians, which President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine, who was not invited for the meeting on Friday, in a statement said that it was time to end the war, but Russia must take the necessary steps to a genuine peace deal. And while commenting on the statement made by the President of Poland, Karol Nawrocki, on Friday via X social media platform to mark Poland Armed Forces Day, which coincided with the day Putin and Trump met in Alaska, President Zelensky said that Ukraine's independence strengthens Poland's independence, and we must always remember that the miracle on the Vistula was made possible through joint efforts, and it saved Europe. And the Polish President, Karol Nawrocki, had said that today we celebrate the 105th anniversary of the great Polish victory at the Battle of Warsaw in 1920. The Polish army, together with Ukrainian forces, successfully repelled the Red Army's westward march. safeguarding Europe from a communist revolution. For centuries, Russian imperialism has been a mortal threat to our freedom. Poland's political tradition teaches that Russian expansionism rests on a legacy of domestic despotism, in which the only free man is the ruler himself. But precisely because Russian despotism is the enemy of freedom, Russian imperialism can only be defeated through an alliance of free peoples. My nation halted Russian imperialism at Orsha, 1514, Klushino, 1610, and Warsaw, 1920. It was probably a cynosure of world attention when Air Force One and Russia presidential aircraft officially wheeled down at Joint Base Elmendorf as President Donald Trump and President Vladimir Putin met face-to-face for the first time since the war in Ukraine started on February 24, 2022, and the Friday meeting marked the first time President Vladimir Putin of Russia was stepping on Western country soil since he launched the war against Ukraine. He was able to meet Trump in Alaska because the US is not a member country of the International Criminal Court, ICC, that issued a warrant of arrest against the Kremlin leader since 2023 over alleged war crime in Ukraine. It would be recalled that the Russian President, Vladimir Putin, did not attend the 2025 annual Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa summit known as BRICS Summit in Brazil due to concerns over an International Criminal Court warrant for his arrest in connection with alleged war crimes committed in Ukraine. According to the Kremlin aide, Yuri Ushakov, co-contestants in the last concluded general elections in Nigeria and former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, has faulted President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's trip to Brazil and also condemned the president's frequent travel abroad at any slightest invitation and abandoned pressing issues of insecurity and other deplorable situations that make the nation bleeds. Specifically, Peter Obi said, "The situation we find ourselves in is deeply worrisome. Our president, who has not found it worthy to visit any of our troubled states, takes joy in traveling to foreign countries at the slightest invitation or excuse, often departing several days even before the events he's invited to." The presidency had in a statement on Wednesday said that President Bola Tinubu will depart Abuja on Thursday, August 14th, for a two-nation trip to Japan and Brazil. The president will stop over in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, before proceeding to Japan. In Japan, President Tinubu will attend the 9th Tokyo International Conference on African Development, TICAD9, in the city of Yokohama from August 20th to 22. With the theme, Co-Create Innovative Solutions with Africa, TICAD9 will focus on Africa's economic transformation and improvements in the business environment and institutions through private investment and innovation. It will also promote a resilient and sustainable African society for human security, peace, and stability. In addition to attending plenary sessions on themes linked to the conference, the Nigerian president will hold bilateral meetings and meet the chief executive officers of some Japanese companies with investments in Nigeria. Initiated in 1993 by the Japanese government and co-hosted by the United Nations, UNDP, the African Union Commission, and the World Bank, TICAD is a triennial conference held alternately in Japan and Africa. The last one took place in August 2022 in Tunisia. The forum fosters high-level policy dialogue between African leaders and development partners. At the end of the TICAD9, President Tinubu will leave for Brasilia, the capital of the Federative Republic of Brazil, on a two-day state visit from Sunday, August 24th, to Monday, August 25th. This follows an invitation by the Brazilian president, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. While in Brazil, President Tinubu will hold a bilateral meeting with his host and attend a business forum with Brazilian investors. His delegation, comprising key ministers and senior officials, will explore opportunities to strengthen cooperation and sign agreements and memoranda of understanding, MOUs, with the Brazilian government. Bayo Onanuga, special advisor to the President on Information and Strategy. Federal government of Nigeria under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has ordered the Commissioner of Police in charge of Lagos Airport to withdraw the one-sided and obviously biased court case the Nigeria police force may have wrongly instituted against an Ibom Air passenger, Comfort Emanson, who was seen in viral videos retaliating and defending herself physically after a group of IBOM Air personnel and Lagos airport team had attacked her and provoked her to action. The FG position on the issue was made known by the Nigeria Minister of Aviation, Festus Keyamo, in a press release the minister signed and made available few minutes ago. Although Festus Keyamo reversed himself and acknowledged that the issue was a case of confrontation between the 26-year-old passenger and the staff of IBOM Airlines, who in the new press release admitted that the staff of IBOM Air and the Lagos Airport Authority team acted wrongly, but the minister did not state how the attacked passenger would be compensated, most especially when her chest sexual organs were seen to be deliberately exposed after a suspected IBOM Airlines staff pulled off and tore the passenger shirt with obvious intention to expose the passenger's nakedness. The action of the federal government may ease the tension among millions of people who have accused the Nigeria police force of aiding and abetting the IBOM airline company to continue to attack and oppress the offended passenger. Comfort Bob, who is also identified as Comfort Emanson by thus supporting the statement of IBOM Air Management, who in their first press release made statement that seems to have some level of deliberate falsehood and raising up a dead issue to win undue public sentiments, manipulate the Nigeria police force to help them secure detention holding charge from the Lagos State Magistrate Court to further oppress and intimidate the attacked passenger. Specifically, IBOM Air stated in her first press release that, shortly after the plane landed at Lagos Airport, the passenger waited for every other passenger on board the plane to disembark, and thereafter, without provocation, went to one of the plane hostesses, Juliana Edward, the IBOM Air Management described as purser, stepped on her, forcibly tore off her wig, removed her glasses and threw it to the floor, and used her footwear to assault her. She slapped her several times, and when the other cabin crew member tried to intervene, she slapped her too. She then attempted to forcibly remove a fire extinguisher to use as a weapon, an act that could have damaged and grounded the aircraft. Soon after the IBOM Air Management released the statement on Monday, a video surfaced on the internet that probably invalidated the statement of the IBOM Air Management and stood out as an acceptable evidence that the management of IBOM Air are people who may be rightly described as pathological liars who probably believed in telling lies as a way of managing crisis. Nigeria Aviation Minister Festus Keyamo says the ministry has directed for the aviation staff who released the video footage containing the aspect of an IBOM Airlines passenger, Comfort Emanson or Bob, seen in an indecent appearance with her chest sexual organs exposed after the passenger shirt was torn by an IBOM Airlines staff, while security operatives were seen in the viral video dragging the aggrieved passenger out of the aircraft following an act of confrontation between the passenger and IBOM Airlines hostesses, which one of the hostesses blocked the right of way of the passenger and prevented the passenger from disembarking from the plane. And after countless warning to the airline passenger to leave the road, the passenger went physical with the hostess by allegedly slapping her on the face, which the confrontation with the hostess apparently led to the alleged destruction of the plane divider cotton, which IBOM Airlines valued at $2,500 as stated in count 5 of the 5-count charges the police filed against the passenger at Ikeja Magistrate Court in Lagos State. The aviation minister, Festus Keyamo, who described the behavior of the passenger as unruly, said, although the airline staff is right to video record the event of the passenger's behavior for the purpose of legal action, but it is totally unacceptable for the staff to release part of the video that exposed the passenger's nakedness, especially her breasts. Details of the minister's statement reads verbatim below. Enough is enough. Reading the Riot Act on Aviation Safety and Security in reference to the case of unruly Comfort Bob on IBOM Airline and related incidents. Earlier today, we again woke up to viral videos of a female passenger on IBOM Airline, now identified as Comfort Emanson or Comfort Bob, who went berserk and physically assaulted both the flight crew and the ground staff. The incident took place yesterday, August 10, 2025 on IBOM Airline flight number Q153 from Uyo to Lagos at about 14:54 hours. IBOM Airline has since issued a statement to provide some context to the effect that the whole unfortunate incident arose because of the refusal of the passenger to switch off her phone during takeoff as required by extant international civil aviation regulations. Consequently, in the last few hours, I have been speaking with the Commissioner of Police of the Airport Police Command, the DG of the NCAA and his team, the MD of FAAN and her team, the COO of IBOM Air and his team about the incident. Apart from the indefinite flight ban imposed on the said unruly passenger, both local and international, by the Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, the police has promptly arraigned her this morning at the Ikeja Magistrates Court for criminal offences and remanded her at Kirikiri prisons as she could not provide a careful study of the viral video involving the IBOM airline personnel, Lagos Airport security operatives and an aggrieved passenger. Comfort Emanson on board the airline plane on Sunday indicated that while the enraged passenger was being dragged off the plane by three men, who held her two hands and legs, suspending her a little bit on the air, a lady putting on IBOM Air corporate clothes who was behind the camera lens could be seen in the video to have approached the passenger at the door point of the plane while the passenger was about to be taken out, apparently dipped her hand towards the waist part of the passenger, untucked the passenger shirt from the trousers, grabbed and pulled the passenger's shirt towards her head, and in the process, the passenger shirt got tore and the passenger's chest, sexual organs or private parts were completely exposed. The action of the IBOM airline staff appeared to be deliberate, as the airline female staff was not part of those dragging the passenger off the aircraft, and after the female passenger's body was exposed, the IBOM Airlines female staff never joined or assisted the security operatives to drag the passenger off the plane. This indicated that the motive of the female staff of IBOM Airline was solely to remove the passenger shirt and expose the aggrieved airline passenger to ridicule. The video of the passenger's partial nakedness, especially her two breasts completely exposed due to the apparent action of a yet-to-be arrested and prosecuted female staff of IBOM Airlines, has since gone viral, with some pornographic channels already updating their channels with the partial nakedness of the IBOM Airlines passenger. According to Punch newspaper, Comfort Emanson, the passenger accused of assaulting airline officials aboard an IBOM Air flight from Uyo to Lagos, has been charged in court and remanded in Kirikiri Correctional Center in Lagos. Tunde Mashood, Special Advisor on Media and Communications to the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Kayamo, San, confirmed the development in a post on his official X handle on Monday. The more reason the flying public should be more careful. The unruly passenger on the Uyo-Lagos bound IBOM Air, Miss Comfort Emanson, has been charged to court and she's now cooling off in Kirikiri, Mashood wrote. IBOM Air, in a press statement on Monday, said that IBOM Air confirms that on Sunday, August 10, 2025, an incident occurred on board our Uyo-Lagos flight involving a passenger, Comfort Emanson, whose conduct posed a serious threat to the safety of our crew, passengers, and aircraft. Shortly before takeoff from Uyo, Emanson was instructed in line with standard aviation safety procedures to switch off her mobile phone. She bluntly refused to comply until the pilot in command made an announcement, after which a fellow passenger seated beside her took the management of National Youth Service Corps under the leadership of Brigadier General Olukunle Nafiu has given reasons why a serving Nigeria Youth Corps member, Ashie Rita Aguamaye, was denied NYSC discharge certificate that could have enabled her exit the one-year mandatory program after she completed the one-year paramilitary service to her nation as a new graduate, and, according to a statement posted and made available by NYSC on Sunday, with no name of the authority responsible for the press statement written or mentioned in the statement, the NYSC said Corps member Rita Aguamaye's discharge certificate was withheld and her service year extended by 2 months following her alleged absence or failure to attend the April 2025 NYSC biometrics clearance at Etiosa Local Government Area Secretariat, and the month stated by NYSC was barely few days after the Corps member had cried out loud in the month of March 2025 over the apparent increasing high rates of hunger as a result of rising costs of living in Nigeria, and as such, she described the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as a terrible president, in a swift reaction to the reason given by NYSC, Rita Igwemeya's lawyer, Barrister Anibahe Efyang, while answering questions from channel's television program presenters on Monday morning, said, the statement issued by the management of the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, on its decision to extend the service period, and withhold the certificate of national service of Corps member Hashie Rita Igwemeya alias Raye does not represent the truth of the matter, saying, on April 7, 2025, Rita was physically present at the local government secretariat for the head count and clearance, but the NYSC official at the local government level deliberately refused to attend to her, even after 6 hours waiting, during which she was asked to go back and queued up on the line repeatedly. The NYSC official still refused to attend to her, and thereafter, on April 11, 2025, the Corps member went to meet the NYSC official and begged her to allow her perform her April 2025 biometrics clearance. The NYSC female official refused and asked the Corps member to leave. This, Amnesty International said the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, must rescind its decision. The Amnesty International described as arbitrary and outrageous, saying, NYSC allegedly used bureaucratic tricks to extend the Corps member national service year over the government's unacceptable intolerance of dissenting voices, with former Nigeria Vice President, Atiku Abubakar, describing the NYSC action as impunity, and as such cautioned the government against subjecting everything to politics. And on Monday morning, the
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.